Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today is going to be a weekly energy update from June 6th all the way through the 12th, 2022. I'm going to share with you three prominent themes you might be experiencing over the next 7 days or so. Number one, I wrote down core conditioning, or you could say core wound healing, transformation, releasing, transmutation, all that good stuff. A lot of you can probably feel, and you can see a lot of evidence to this fact out there on the world stage, that the planet, the collective consciousness is undergoing a massive shift and upgrade, leveling up of frequency. And we're seeing that playing out on the world stage, but also what's happening is this higher frequency is finally high enough to provoke to the surface some of our deepest, most ingrained dysfunctions and traumas, unresolved issues. And for a lot of people right now, myself included, it's coming up in very common ways. And that's kind of the blessing of this time of transformation. Because we're expanding our consciousness, we no longer need to have these intense and negative, tragic 3D events happen in our life. We're becoming more aware of our own energy. And just that alone, without the need for the reflection, that alone is enough to say, you know what is this? Why did what that person said make me feel this way? Where is this energy coming from? And that's kind of what I'm saying, is not to be on the lookout for some intense situation, but you might experience surfacing of some intense energy, some intense emotion. And it won't be new to you. It'll likely be a state of being you felt time and time again throughout a lot of your memorable life. And it comes up in different circumstances, and it's just one of your core themes you might be working through. And because the energy is so high, is what I'm trying to get at, is you might confront that in a more direct, unshakable way. Maybe in the past you could have been triggered and gone off and smoked a joint or played some music or went for a run, and it's you forget about it. These energies are coming up and they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere because it's time to let them go. It's no longer gonna really work to ignore, suppress, forget about them. So the experience of this, however, can be a few days of you just feeling really much in a funk that you just can't shake. And it can be very uncomfortable, and it's oftentimes can be associated with a lot of really heavier feelings like unworthiness, being unlovable, not trusting life at all, and just feeling in a very contracted state that you just can't shake. What a hopeless, bleak video, bro. Well, here's the thing, my friends. I shared that with you because it's what I'm going through, and that's the source of all of these updates I do. It's something I've been experiencing. And real quick, before I move on to the hope, that the silver lining, which is going to be totally worth this experience of confronting these deeper wounds. An example of this is earlier in my YouTube career, when I first started to charge money for coaching. It was the first time I sold anything. And I had a lot of money blocks. I had a lot of blocks about it. Who am I? Who am I to position myself as a coach, as a mentor, as a healer type? Who am I to charge money for spiritual services? All this stuff, all this content, which really was more of a surface level of something deeper, which was an innate sense of unworthiness that, just formed in me like it does many of us through early childhood. And anyway, someone said something about it in one of my YouTube videos. They said something like, who do you think you are? You're not a lawyer. You're charging too much money. Something like that. It was kind of rude, but my reaction was so over the top. I felt my body. It was almost like my heart sunk into my stomach. That oh wow, they finally caught on. They finally discovered that Victor's not worthy. And that was what it was like, but it wasn't a big deal on the surface. Now, unfortunately, this is a long time ago. At the time, I don't remember it exactly, but I could imagine myself being really mad at that person and thinking, man, they shouldn't have said that. Who are they to judge me? How dare them? Delete their comment, or maybe wrestle with the idea of responding with some slick, egoic retort, that kind of thing. What you might find yourself doing now is owning it more. Understanding that what the YouTube comments, what that person was intending or what they said has almost nothing at all to do with how I was feeling at the time. Those are my feelings. And in fact, that YouTube jack off, no, just kidding. He did me a favor by shedding light on it, by creating a reflection of something that was already deep inside of myself. But the point is, I didn't know at the time. I didn't really get anything out of that experience, as I recall at the time. If that's happening to you, I want you to understand how profound it is to make that mental shift from victim to external into empowerment and understanding, like on a deep, real, like lasting level, that is my creation, that is my manifestation, that is a reflection of my energy. And through this uncomfortable process, which I really can't do justice because it can be very intense, man. It can make you want to run. It can make you feel like you're in an emotional pressure cooker and you just can't escape it. Through doing this, your awareness of this is what's going to cause you to have a massive breakthrough, a massive stride forward in this direction. I'm not saying you're going to heal your deepest childhood wound this week. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you're going to be confronted by it potentially. This is just general, obviously. But when you are, if you do, you will have some new tools. And the tools are your awareness and a more intelligent and sophisticated way of relating with it, where you can finally start to transmute and let go of some of that energy, which I think a lot of you will, even if you're stuck in it right now. I was for about 3 or 4 days until this morning. And it was this like, whoosh, this massive expansion, which leads me, my friends, to number 2, opening to much deeper levels of love, joy, gratitude, bliss. Some of you even maybe a little bit of ecstasy. These are frequencies that are on the absolute polar end of the spectrum. And the deeper you go into your core wound, your shadow, etc., when the pendulum does swing back, and it always does, you shoot deeper, further into these lighter frequencies. So you might find yourself just feeling deeper than normal states of love, bliss, gratitude, those types of energies, which, I'm realizing more and more, at least me, and I suspect most human beings, only experience very numbed versions of those energies because they're so powerful, because they evoke such a response in our energy system that is more accustomed to being contracted. But we're living in this time where it's like we're being almost forced, lulled, pulled into these higher frequencies, and that's why core wounds are coming up. But if you're one of the variety, where I was a couple days ago, even yesterday, last night, and the core wounds are surfacing and driving you crazy, to understand what you're dealing with is something that is directly connected to the light. And nothing, we never stay down forever, you know that. And when you bounce back, and you of course will, when you do, it's going to be very exhilarating, very noticeable, very expansive. I was talking to my wife just earlier, we were discussing this. And I was saying, when I get into these funks, which I was, as I mentioned, and then I finally let myself out of them, it's essentially what tends to happen. It's like this huge burst of exhilaration and energy. It's almost as if I've been holding myself back, pinching myself off from the love that is there in my face, saying, merge with me, vibrate with me, entrain yourself to me. And usually with this, there's an accompaniment of grand ideas, things just like epiphanies, inspirations, ideas. And it can have to do with decluttering your business, your career, your relationships even. It can be almost like innovative ideas for any area of your life that is presently a representation of that old energy. You might start to see it from this expanded state and say, oh, this has got to go. I need a new couch. I need to declutter over there. Or I need to I need to let go of this part of my day-to-day job operation. It's clearly now the source of my unhappiness. And you might find yourself with these excited ideas of innovation, I would say, within any area of your life. And it's a lovely energy. It's an expansive energy that you earn. You earn with your willingness and courage to go into the shadow, into your darkness. You might wonder, why am I doing this? Why have I chosen this? I ask myself that when I'm in those contracted states because it just seems so miserable. Jesus, this earth game is very frustrating and very tough sometimes. But then we are adaptable creatures, human beings, as you can see just throughout history. We have that in us, that ability to maybe we're knocked down a couple of times, but eventually we're going to stand up. We're going to learn how to duck and change and evolve. And it's not pleasant, but it's once you make that little evolutionary leap in your life, in your mindset or whatever, and then you're wow, this is worth it. This is pretty cool. It's pretty wonderful to witness yourself going through an evolution, that there's an undeniability factor that you're earning it. It's not just happening to you. It takes your own participation big time. So that's kind of the energy that you might be experiencing at some point as well, which again is directly connected to number 1. Number 3, I just wrote down one word. I wrote down manifestation, because manifestation is also largely connected to this coming out of the fog, this expansive type of wave you may find yourself on. It's also just a good time to you might find yourself, I would say, you might find yourself manifesting. You might find that there have been things you've been kind of trucking along with, working on, that all of a sudden start to gain traction and take form and pay you back. And that could be with your business, with your life, with your career. It could be with anything. Just a good time to manifest. One of the things we're experiencing on kind of a mundane level, my wife and I were realizing that our bedroom, it's just kind of an accumulation of old furniture. It doesn't really go in our room the way it's set up with the windows and everything. And we just kind of threw it in there because we moved under a year ago. And it's becoming more and more apparent that because of this stagnant energy or something, lack of feng shui, if you will, it's changing the whole vibe of our bedroom, a place we spend, 8 to 10 hours a day. And we just had these kind of cool ideas of what we could do. We want to kind of minimalize it and create space. As an example, that could be one way of thinking, but for me, it's a good time to buy the furniture and not just think about it. That's kind of what I mean by manifestation. It's that you're safe to move, especially if you're coming out of that funk at some point. Where you see yourself, the way you're looking at your life is going to be very accurate. I always recommend people to trust their perception of themselves and life and where they should go and what they should let go of, etc., when they're in these higher frequencies. So take advantage, journal, write down some things, and then do it. Take action, follow it up. It's a fantastic week for that. And before I go, I have a really good tip of the week. Some weeks I do these updates and I don't feel like I have a tip necessarily to share. In this case, I do, and I think it very well could have been even infused with one of the points because I think it's that important. And it's this: go your own way. Be yourself. Do it your way. Your way might be unconventional in any area of life, but if you feel inclined, it's going to be effective. Give an example. My wife, Patty, she's a very deeply spiritual person. We've been kind of we've been growing together spiritually and emotionally for the past 15 years. And she's a very accomplished spiritual woman. Light years to go. We got humble. I say that with humility, but my point is, she does very good for herself. She has a really nice vibration, a very pleasant vibe, and has done a lot of work. But she hates meditation. But we were talking today, and she was talking about how she's got this new, and I shouldn't even laugh at it, it's just as legitimate as anything, but she's got this fondness for water. In Costa Rica, one of the medicine workers, he likes to bring us in a little bit, to participate a teeny bit to the ceremony sometimes. And what he has my wife Patty do is a water blessing. And the first time she did it, she wasn't even prepared for it. She didn't know much about water to do a whole spiel on it. And at the end, she was like, how was that? And he said, not very good. Go practice. This is sort of like not what she wanted to hear. But anyway, she went and practiced. My wife knows a lot about water now. She knows a lot of very interesting facts. She's listened to audiobooks. She's watched documentaries. And not only that, most importantly, she spends time with water. And she was telling me just yesterday, she was like drinking water and having kind of a water ceremony by herself. She'd take a sip. Thank you. And she would thank it. And every sip she took, she like, with her heart open and all of her focus and intention, she said, thank you. Gratitude, thank you. And she said when she started to do that, she felt the water pay her back. She felt the water literally like light her up with like divine electricity, very similar to Kundalini. And she had this like really sort of profound state of like a spiritual, energetic sort of phenomena from taking sips of water and just saying thank you to the water. She still doesn't like meditation, and yet she achieved the same result that meditation can take you to. So do your own thing, my friend. And I'll give one last example, because that's more specific to spiritual growth. One last example that I really do believe will be beneficial to you. It's from a different sort of line of thought. Just yesterday, I believe, I was doing a coaching session with my full-time purpose group. These are like spiritual entrepreneurs that I'm guiding and sort of sharing what I've learned with. And one of them was saying, I'm having such a tough time with my mindset. Whenever I hear that, I like to inquire why. Well, where is that coming from? What makes you say that? He said, I keep setting these goals for myself. For example, I'm going to shoot a video for YouTube every day. And she finds it's just not happening for her. And she was feeling kind of down about it. And she thinks, I need to like improve my mindset, she said. And as she was talking, what became apparent to me is she was just sort of a very feminine, artistic type of personality. And for that, doing something every day, having a rigid routine, it's like super restrictive and irritating. It just doesn't resonate. Even though I find safety and freedom in like a linear sort of masculine dominated world and routine. That's me. I can't be too feminine, too flowy, because I feel out of control. I have my little comfort zone, and so does she. And what I said to her is like, listen, embrace that part of you. Don't worry about making a video every day. Do it your way. I said, I bet someone like you can feel like you're doing nothing for a couple of days and feel maybe guided to rest and read and go off, and then you wake up spontaneously on fire with passion, on fire with inspiration, on fire with the knowingness that now is the time for this message to come through. And then people like that, I know people like that. It's just they can get a crazy amount of manifestation done, creation done in a matter of like a day. And if they wait for the timing, if they honor their own rhythm, they'll get more done in that one day than if they impose some structure into their life for months. Because it's just not them, it's just not natural. So go your own way. What does that mean for you? What is a natural inclination of yours that you've maybe been resisting because you think it's not the best way or not appropriate? Now's the time to like tell the mind to take a hike, feel into your own nature and flow with it. And you're going to find that not only do you really you're going to be a lot more productive, yeah, but you're also just going to feel a lot better because you're going to be finally in your own rhythm, your own frequency, and your own flow. Real quick before I go, my friends, I want to give you one last opportunity to sign up for my upcoming retreat in Sedona. It takes place in a few weeks here. There's 1 or maybe 2 spots left currently, and this will be the last time I mention it, I'm sure, because we are nearly completely full. And these retreats, just so you know, in case this is the first time you're hearing about them, they are a gathering of like-minded people like you folks, people like you see in the comments, like-minded people, like vibrations of all ages, of all different personality types, but with a similar theme of someone who takes their spiritual growth very seriously. And what happens when we come together, these powerful souls, this soul family, it can be sometimes a very miraculous transformation literally life-changing transformations happen every single time at this retreat. And I don't take credit for it, even though the things we do are very powerful. We do breath work, past life regressions, cacao ceremonies, really cool modalities, if you will. But the power comes from you. The power comes from people like you coming together with a common intention and just investing yourself and flying out, coming to a retreat. It creates this like synergy. And that is probably influenced by the energy of Sedona as well, which is already high. And anyway, what's created that we do together is like a container, this safe container of powerful spirit energy where we all get to learn and grow and evolve from. And anyway, I do these retreats now once a year. This one is coming up. There's 1 or 2 spots left, literally, and this will most likely be the last time you hear me mention it. Just in case you've been on the fence or it's your first time hearing about it, I'll leave a link down below, my friends, if you want to check it out. And if not, totally cool. I'll see you guys next week. Have an amazing day, my friends. Peace.